Yes, it's gonna happen. I just gotta like blast this all over the freaking place, you know? You know how it goes, everybody? Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, let's get the show on the road. Thanks everyone for showing up. Here we go. All right, hey everyone. Hello, and welcome to another Cafe BTW morning coffee gaming podcast. It's been, I think, our 7th week.
Someone here.
Oh, Princess, thank you so much for subscribing. Wow, thank you. Obviously, you see below a very good friend of mine and also an awesome streamer. It's Reanimator on Twitch. Let me show you guys so you know I do have on the panels. Hold on. On the panels below, you'll see, or it was there. Or maybe it's gone. Oh, yeah, there she is. I put her Twitter's right here.
Aww.
Her Twitch is here. So you guys can find all of her stuff. Before we like get into like everything, I think we should just like have some coffee chat. So I just wanted to see like how you're doing in general since we are friends, you know.
Well, it's the ass crack of dawn, so I'm obviously very tired. I am
Right.
not a morning person, like producer, by the way. So I am maybe a little bit tired looking right now.
No, you look great.
I tried not to stream too late last night, but then like 10 o'clock hit and I was like, oh shit, I have to be up really early, guys, and I gotta go call Andy. I better get off of here. So
yeah, well, tell me about that. Like, you do stream, right? And how long you've been streaming? Which I think I'm an 8th month subscriber, but I have to support you. So I'm just gonna show. So like, what were you streaming? What tell us a little bit about, you know, why you stream and what you stream and all that jazz.
So I've been streaming almost 2 years now. I fell into it. I didn't even know what Twitch was 2 years ago. I was kind of late to the party.
Was it that? Really?
I was at YouTube Live E3, and I met some people there who were like, "Oh, you're a gamer?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't play games online. I don't talk to people online about gaming. Like, I just do it by myself in my basement," which sounds really creepy. But like, it was not a world that I was super social in. And I was just at E3 because of Augie. He wanted me to be interviewed, and so I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do that."
So that's where we met on this show,
Yeah.
and I'm showing the E3 live YouTube just so people can reference it. So
yeah,
that's where we met.
Yeah, but not
producers.
the year that I was producing with you. The year before was when I found out about Twitch.
Oh,
so some people met me and they were like, "You're really weird and interesting. You should have a Twitch channel." And I was like, "I don't even know how to do this. I don't know what any of these things are." So I streamed from my MacBook and an Xbox for like the first 6 months, and it was a nightmare.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah.
because you're like generally like your presentation on Twitch is great. Like, you just got it down. Like, I love your alerts and all that jazz, you know.
Thank you. I feel like everything is like, man, some days I wake up and I'm just like, oh, I need to do better, and I'm so hard on myself. And then then there's days where I'm just like, just be yourself, Ree. Like, things are good. Just let it grow organically. Get things done as you get them done. Because so many streamers are like really hard on themselves. Like, I have to do this right now. I have to do this right now. And like, I'm just not a very regimented person in general, but I still get shit done. So it's just kind of like, it's been easier for me to like relax on myself and just let things kind of happen as they happen and figure it out along the way, I guess.
So you also like to skate, right? And
I skate a lot.
I want to show some of your IG skate videos here. And not just not roller blading, but we're talking roller skating, correct? So people aren't confused, you know?
Right. Old school quad skates. And I mean, I skate everywhere. I skate street, I skate at the rink, but I prefer like ramps and skate parks, obviously. And I used to play roller derby because I get that question a lot, but I don't play anymore. So crazy.
You did play roller derby.
Mm-hmm.
So but do you still go? Well, obviously we can't go to roller derbies, but you would still go to roller derbies, correct?
Yeah, I love watching bouts. I just don't want to play anymore. It takes too much time. Like, I just like going to the skate park and shredding with my friends for like an hour or so.
Darn, how did you get the lights in your wheels like that? Did you like put them in there, or you had to buy them like that?
No, those are called luminous wheels. They're kind of annoying. They're like my least favorite wheel to skate on, but they look so cool, so I still use them.
That's
But they have like
awesome.
a magnet inside that generates the power and makes them light up.
Yeah, I'm
So
showing these awesome videos of you from your stories on
I'm watching, but there's a delay, so it's kind of funny because it's like a 10-second delay on my end, seeing what you're looking at. Oh yeah, that's
Damn, look
me
at
when I
those,
started skating.
look at all these injuries. Wow.
Oh yeah, I broke my hand. No, that one picture of the little kid though was me when I was like
Oh,
2 or 3.
that was you when you were young? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. No, oh, yeah, circa 1988, July
Yeah.
30th, a couple of weeks after my birthday. Awesome. Well, cool,
Yep.
Ree. I'm really happy to have you here because obviously, like, I haven't seen you, so it's like kind of cool to catch up on the
I know I
show.
miss you so much. Oh yeah, we should have warned that there was graphic content because my road rash and stuff in
Oh,
that one
I'm
video,
sorry,
but
everybody. I'm so sorry. If you can't handle a scratch and a little red, then forgive me. Uh, so so Ree, obviously on the show, what we do is we have a main topic, and that's we're gonna talk about that later. I have some things to talk about. We're gonna be talking about the 80s and 90s console culture, and what I mean by that is
Ooh,
we're gonna kind of like walk through like how do you even describe what a generation is, and
yeah.
we're gonna show you some interesting kind of news. I found a news piece from 1990 that kind of talks about like the console war. Also, shout out to everyone that showed up: Biff Bufflington, Genzo, Princess, D Goots, Danny Naps, Fred Stoverink. Thank you so much, guys, for the continued support.
Uh,
What's so funny?
Daniel is upset that you're not talking about my mummified animals. Daniel, on topic. This
Yeah.
is a gaming
What is the
show.
mummified animals? What are you talking about? Wait, what? You have
Oh,
mummified animals?
I collect like dead things and bones and
Do
stuff,
you
and
have
so
this
I
on
have.
your Instagram to reference?
Yeah, they're somewhere, but don't worry about that right now. People can just get to know me and they'll see it
Okay.
at
Uh,
some point.
so yeah. Anyway, what we like to do on this show is that I usually have our guests just bring a topic first, and then we'll get into the main topic later in the show. So Ree, I know that we had talked last night about a really interesting topic. Do you
Mhm.
kind of know how to like kick it off with exactly what you want to kind of explain to the audience and what you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I was thinking back to how when we were kids, especially, like gaming was kind of this counterculture still. It wasn't very mainstream. It was not something that a lot of people did. It was pretty much exclusively like us nerdy kids for the most part. And so I think it's interesting to try to evaluate and project because gaming has now eked into every part of culture. Like it's crazy when you see like NBA players on commercials who are like the athletes of the athletes being like, I have my own like video game stream, or I'm like a huge gamer and now there's this special edition like console peripheral made like about me, so to speak. So I'm kind of interested to see where gaming will be in the future and how that line between gamer and just your general average everyday person continues to get blurred, because I feel like that division is lessening and lessening, and it's really hard to walk down the street without meeting somebody who's who's not like, oh, I'm a nerd, I game, blah 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 blah. So I find that really fascinating. I'm just kind of curious what other parts of society it's going to eke into and how much that line will continue to diminish.
Well, right now, when someone says I'm gonna watch Netflix tonight, that is a majority thing. Like everyone kind of will do that. Like a majority of people that I
Right.
know have Netflix, watch Netflix. Now that's not the same for gaming because not everyone plays games, but I think that's the line you're talking about. When people start talking about gaming as if it's Netflix, like as if it's normal to do it, that's the line that changes, and I think that's changing. If that's what you're trying to get at, I was trying to do kind of a metaphor there, and I
Yeah.
think that kind of makes sense because everyone knows Netflix, but not everyone. Everyone watches Netflix, knows how to use Netflix, but does everyone know how to play video games and use video games, whatever, or buy video games? No, I don't think so. Not yet, completely.
Like,
Thanks
you
for the
know, I
hosts.
I think also another big thing is that VR is going to be a big vehicle for that, because everyday people who don't typically game, I have found in my experience, are more fascinated and drawn in by VR as opposed to just handing them a controller and saying, here, you want a game.
Yeah,
But if you give them a VR headset and controllers, 9 times out of 10, they put it on and they are so fascinated. They're like, I love this. It's so rare that they're like, I hate this. I never want to touch it again. They're usually like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love this, you know? And so I kind of think that the more that VR gets incorporated in to everyday life in terms of like augmented reality applications and stuff like that, people will start to be like, oh, I like this. Oh, there's this other application for it. Um, I want to check that out now too. You know, I think that VR is actually going to be one of the bigger vehicles for that, which is kind of funny because if you think back to the 90s, VR was so clunky and people were like, what? And it just wasn't even accessible
I feel
to
like
the masses.
they've tried VR in so many generations almost. Like even in like the 80s, they kind of like tried
Oh, yeah.
something. So I feel like, VR has always been like, I think finally we're at the point where VR might actually be going in the right direction for the first time in a long time. I think we're finally getting that. Now, believe it or not, I just bought VR and I just started, I got
Mm-hmm.
my Oculus Rift yesterday. And
Mm-hmm.
I must say at first, because I'm the type of guy that, I worked in gaming a ton of times and I was just the guy that would go to the demo at E3 and try a game for like 5-10 minutes, right? Like
Right.
I didn't play it more than that. And
Yeah.
I didn't even have friends that like played it much and that I would go to their house and play it. Now, shout out to Daniel
Right.
Goots and Sanity who have a show, who they were guests on this show,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they're doing a podcast in virtual reality. So that's pretty cool and progressive. But now I get it. But it took me even yesterday, the whole time yesterday, I was so confused. I didn't know. So for me as a huge gamer, I can't say that I know how to use VR like just by, right off the bat. I don't even think we're that close. When VR gets to that point where it's like natively seamless to use, that's going to be a
Mhm.
long time from now. Right now there's still a learning curve for that, I would
Well,
say.
I think like intelligent, like Google Glasses type things and VR are eventually going to merge. And so people will be watching their movies in virtual theaters from home. And I think even now, obviously, I hate bringing up current events, but everything that's happening in the world and people realizing like maybe like some people aren't going to be able to be out in the masses as much. Like I think that's going to become a thing. I think that's like the next step are applications like that where augmented reality is used to put a person in a virtual movie theater watching a movie through VR. And I think that that's what's going to push people more towards the gaming. Because once you do that, then it's like, oh, I can play. You mean I can sit here and play Candy Crush on my little glasses laying in my bed and use my hands laying here, like tapping stuff? Like people are going to enjoy that way more. So you're going to see like I don't know. I like this is not a derogatory way, but you're gonna see like soccer moms, like somebody you wouldn't expect to be gaming, like laying there with a VR headset on gaming. I think like that sort of thing.
Yeah, and shout out to It's Virtually a Podcast. Sorry, I did not. And thanks for the link. They're on Mixer, so check them out, please.
Yay!
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So you think VR attributes to adoption for mainstream audience? You think that's a way to get people into gaming is VR through VR?
I I do because for whatever reason, gaming to a lot of people, especially older generations, still seems very barbaric in a lot of ways, so to speak. I don't really know a better way to describe it, or very like a brain waster. But if they're in a VR headset, like when I've put my grandparents in a VR headset, they're just like they get to experience a world they've never experienced. They don't understand experiencing it through a controller, but when you put them in it, they're like, "Oh my god, this is different." They feel like they're actually interacting and getting something out of it. So,
That's cool.
uh, not
Interesting.
all old people. That's not what I meant. There are a lot of older people and much older people and even grandparents who are gamers. I just mean like soccer moms just
You s- that's funny.
I riled your followers.
We
Um
are pro soccer moms in this channel, okay? So my cousin, actually believe it or not, my cousin's one of these like intense soccer moms and I wanted to do a reality show about her and her friends cuz like they would get box wine and drink box wine while their kids were playing soccer and like chat and gossip and it was like a whole thing being a
I
soccer
would
mom.
hang out with them.
They're probably a lot cooler than me.
No, but yeah, I just think, I don't know. I just think that that was just one example. Cause like for the record, also, cause your viewers don't know, I'm from a very small town in Oklahoma. So the older people there are not typically very technologically savvy and don't even know about a lot of the technology that is out there. So to them, that's why I use that example, because that just is a draw in for them. Like they weren't as exposed to it. So.
Yeah, so how long, just to wrap up on this topic, how long is that line, how long do you think it's going to take for that stigma to go away where, the regular person versus the gamer and just the regular person that plays video games like they watch Netflix? So is there a timeline there for you? Like, do you think it's
Oh,
like
I bet
5 to
next
10?
10 years.
10
Next
years?
10 years. Yeah.
Might
I mean,
even,
look at it's been 30 since 1980, right?
yeah,
And now it's already so blurred.
I'm so old. This is great.
It
Thanks
is
for reminding me.
so, but yeah, no, we are so old.
No,
But
I'm just
now
kidding.
it's blurred so much that it's in the mainstream every day. I mean, Ninja is on Samsung commercials, for crying out loud.
Actually,
Like Ninja is a superstar and he's a gamer.
yeah.
So I think if that happened in the last, let's say let's give it a buffer, and let's say, like I said, 30 as a buffer, but like really last 20 years, look at how much progress has been made in that regard. So I think next 10 years, it's just going to be like just about everybody's a gamer.
Okay, so 10 years from now, we'll look back on this and see how right you are. But I think it might be sooner. I think
You
I'll
do?
say 5 to 7 years. Uh,
I'd believe that.
well, why? And I don't like kind of like talking too much about the pandemic and what's going on, but what's happened with the pandemic in the last 3 months is that it's propelled gaming forward
Yeah.
like a year or two in
Yeah,
three
that's
months.
true.
That Blizzard just gave their Q1 what's it called earnings, $1.79 billion in 3 months, and just so people know,
Shit.
Q1 is January to March, right? And March was where the huge influx happened. That's like insane money. That's
Well, yeah,
insane
and I'm
money.
sure like people have, all those people that used to play WoW who were too busy to play anymore and had to have regular everyday lives that are now stuck at home are like, oh, I'm logging back into WoW, and now they're like, there's no life anymore. Like
Uh,
that's definitely happened.
Ren says it propels most use of home electronics and software that makes you able to stay at home as much as possible. It's great. One thing that is to
Mhm.
note, gaming is positive during this time. It's helping social distancing. Ree and I are hanging out on a podcast right now. I see her. Here, she's there.
Hi, my
We're hanging
beautiful
out.
friend Andy.
Yeah, we're hanging out. Like, you could play video games with your friends, be safe at home. And yes, D Goots, there is a pandemic. Holy shit, he says. I just logged into WoW, Biff Bluffington says. First time in years. Wow. I that is one game I cannot go back to. Okay, I'm sorry. I cold turkeyed that years ago after Burning Crusade, and I'm never going back. I can never relaunch that game ever.
I've
Uh,
never played, and my entire ribcage is Alar
really?
from World of Warcraft. Yeah, I have a giant ribcage tattoo, and I've never played it, but
That's funny.
yeah. Oh, also, side note,
Yes,
sorry, I gotta do this real fast.
please. Do what?
'Cause, you'll see. I'm very embarrassed,
We got,
actually.
what? You're following me now? You're the worst. You know that? I can't.
You had so many accounts. I
It's
didn't
no, it's so
even
true.
realize.
Actually, it's funny. I forget. So I forget who Itchy. Itchy is always like, oh hey Andy, aka producer, by the way, aka SU2C, aka.
That's the thing. So many accounts. I didn't realize I wasn't following you on this one. That I looked, I was like, oh no, I have to do this right now, and it's gonna go off
Well,
during the
now,
podcast.
now we have it live on my podcast as an alert. I love it. Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you
You're
so much
welcome.
for the follow. I appreciate it. Um, let's see. So, anything else to wrap that up? Or you think we wrap that up? Are we ready for the main topic?
I think we wrapped that up, but I'm glad we did that
Yeah,
topic
that
because
was
I really
fun.
like that. I like thinking about that.
Good topic to bring to the table, I must say. So obviously, Ree. So just to get an idea, what was your first console growing up?
My first one, well, okay, first console was my Super Nintendo. Um, my parents were kind of weird about video games. I had a Commodore 64 before that.
Nice. Okay.
Um, So, but my first console was definitely the Super Nintendo. I mostly had to game at my friends' houses. You know, my best friend had an NES, and my aunt had a Sega Genesis. So I usually played on their respective consoles. But yeah, that was, I didn't really get in on the console thing until about 1992 after begging my parents, begging them for it. And then I had to buy every game with my own money. So
Well, we will talk. This is about kind of like leading into the 90s. So I think we'll focus in on like the early 90s, but we're going to talk about like one thing I was wondering is like they always say generation 1, 2, 3, 4. How do we measure that? Like, and basically, just to give you guys an idea, Generation 1 started in 1972, and there were things like the Magnavox Odyssey, Home Pong, Coleco, and some other things I've never heard of. So that was Generation 1. Generation 2, just to give you guys an idea, was 1976. Intellivision was there, and a bunch of other stuff. Game & Watch, which was Nintendo. Remember Game & Watch games? With little, that's really old school. But some other things I've never heard of. Generation 3 is probably very important because it's the NES, Atari 7800, the Commodore 64, the Master System, Sega Master System. So that's pretty much the 80s. And then we go to Generation 4, which is the console, the PC Engine, Genesis, NES, NeoGeo, handheld market like Game Boy, Lynx, Game Gear, and the Turbo Express. And then obviously Generation 5, we're moving up to the 3DO, Atari, Jaguar, Saturn, Nintendo 64, the Nomad, which I actually owned, which is a portable Genesis, Virtual Boy, Game Boy Color, and I believe the home version of NeoGeo. And then 6, of course, is where we're moving into Dreamcast, GameCube, Xbox, and then obviously 7 is moving into like Xbox 360. So, Reed, does that kind of like lay the land for you? Does that?
absolutely.
And it's really interesting because there's a lot of consoles that I've never seen before. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth now. Obviously, 1981 to 1985, we had the Mattel Intellivision. Did you ever see this before? Have you ever seen this?
I've seen one before. I never got to play on it, but I've seen one before for sure back in the day.
So I definitely played on one. But did you ever play a Vectrex from 1982?
Nope.
You know, did you ever tell your friends like, yo, let's go home and play some Vectrex? Because the Vectrex is I've never heard of this machine. And then this one is the Emerson Arcadia, which I've never seen before. Have you seen this one? This was 1982.
Crazy.
This one looks cool.
Yeah.
Biff says yes to the Vectrex. It was radical. Oh, that's awesome. My God. Shout out to Vectrex. They should do a Vectrex Mini. No one would buy it.
Totally tubular, dude.
Totally tubular. Then there was ColecoVision, which was very popular in its own right, and a lot of people. Fred says he played them too. Oh, wow. You guys are calling out your ages here. You sure you want to do that? But it's okay. Then we had Mattel in Intellivision 2, which I've never seen before. What is this? This is just like a cute blue box, or is that turquoise? I don't know.
It's bluish turquoise.
The Sega SG-1000 is something that I just discovered today, and I need to really dig into this because I have no idea what this is. But look at this right here, 1983. What is that? That's the one we all recognize. That is this is what signifies the start to me of the true console generations. Like,
I agree. I fully agree.
And I got to share a story. I was a little boy. And it might have been a year after this, 1984. My brother was at a bowling alley and he had a birthday, and I was like super young. And I still remember to this day, like my grandma gave him a box, and I just remember him opening this present, and it turned out to be the NES. And it was just like, I was really young, but I still like vividly remember that story, like, or that moment, like it was yesterday. And that's what like kicked it all off for me. I played the Atari 2600, but NES is what kicked it off for most people, a part of at least my generation. I don't know what this is. Sega Master System definitely needs to be mentioned. My friend across the street growing up had a Sega Master System, so I did actually play one. Did you ever play one, Ree?
I did not actually. So one of the downsides to being from
the
where I'm from is that we were so isolated. I mean, we were always like 10 to 15 years behind on the technology. My town had 2,000 people in it. Like getting any sort of kind of advanced technology was ridiculous. So the only thing people really had was either the Sega Genesis when it came out or the original NES. You know, that was like, and the Atari. I guess a lot of people had the Atari. But that was like really it. Like we didn't get to branch out much beyond that.
Like, where did you buy games? At Sears? Was it at the local Sears?
No, Sears was over an hour drive away.
Oh, wow. What was it back
usually
then?
you would have to go to like some of the mom and pop video stores would bring in games and you could buy them there.
Huh.
But other than that, you pretty much had to go someplace like Walmart, you know, like if you drove to the city. But again, the city was like, you know, Sears was an hour away. Walmart was like 30 minutes away.
Oh,
So
going to Sears was an event, Genzo says. It was. As a kid, I remember going to Sears. I still remember. I remember going to Sears and there was an Atari, like a beautiful Atari setup for when the Atari, I think, which I'm on right now, like the 7800 might have come out or the 5200, and they had this awesome display. That's how far I am from a Sonics. Oh, that's how far I am from a Sonics. Ugh, I don't know what people like Sonics for. I'm not a big fan.
I love Sonic, but I'm from the land of Sonic. I think the headquarters is in Oklahoma, so.
Princess, Sears sold everything. They not just video games. Back in the 80s and early 90s, Sears was the place to go to get your appliances, your TV, your clothes, everything. Sears was like the king of all things. In 1987, TurboGrafx 16 came out, and I actually owned one. And I would play Bonk's Adventure and Darkwing Duck.
I love Darkwing Duck
yes.
so much. I played it on Super Nintendo.
Yes. It was on, I think it was the same game technically, right? It was just ported on to different.
It's so hard to say because back then, that's what I was telling my nephew. I was like, did you know games were completely different between consoles a lot of times? Like sometimes they were the same and sometimes they were just completely different games. And that blew his mind. He was like, really? I was like, yeah, like the levels weren't the same or anything. Like Lion King between Sega and Super Nintendo, way different game.
Fred Stoverin keeps telling me to check out the Nintendo Saddle View?
Satellite View?
There
I think
is.
It's like satellite.
There it is, Fred. I found it for you. You got anything to tell us about it? Because I've never seen this before.
That looks like a 64 GameCube hybrid.
I think it's like a Famicom with a CD player, no? Is that a CD player?
Oh!
I don't know. It looks really cool. You gonna tell us what it is, Fred, or you're gonna?
I just tried to click it on the screen.
You're gonna. I don't think it's. I don't think it's that advanced. Let's see. I can.
No, I just clicked like your screen on Twitch and tried to click the link to look at it more instead of like.
It's a satellite modem peripheral produced by Nintendo for Super Famicom in 1995, containing 1 megabyte of ROM space and an additional 512 keg of RAM. The Satellite View allowed players to download games, magazines, and other forms of content through satellite broadcasts provided by Japanese company ST Giga. That's pretty cool. So this came out in 1995. Okay. Interesting. I like it. Thank you, Fred. Thank you for educating us so much on that. It would download games via satellite. That's pretty ahead of the time, too. Wow, 1 megabyte of RAM. I know, back then it was pretty important. What the hell? Look at the NEC Super Graphics. I never saw that before. Master System 2?
Our first family computer that was actually like decent and modern was an NEC. And I remember we were so excited. It was like, nobody knew the brand, but it was like top of the line in 1995.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Believe it or not, I was lucky enough to own a NeoGeo console. And the discs were huge.
That's awesome.
Because in the arcade, remember the NeoGeo arcades would have like almost like movie theaters. They had posters for each game that was on the system. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so the way it worked for NeoGeo arcade machines, they would literally have the big cartridge and just put it into the arcade machine, and that's how they were able to interchange it so easily.
I never knew that about the Neo Geo.
So when they're like, we want to make a console, they just made the console be able to take like the big cartridges that they would put in the arcade machine into the home console. So a lot of people didn't realize that. It's just like this big cartridge.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But the games were so expensive. To buy like a NeoGeo game at home was like $150, I think. They were pricey. But I had, what did I have? I had King of Monsters, which was this awesome like game where, let me see if I can pull it up. King of Monsters.
Don't you think it's fascinating that the console war has not really like gone away over time? Because I was just thinking, like, my best friend and I couldn't play the Nintendo 64 when it came out. It made me really motion sick. But
Really?
I could play this the Sony PlayStation. I remember my sister got a PlayStation, and my best friend and he and I would argue about which was the superior console. And he'd be like, "Oh, well, I got a Nintendo 64. It's 64-bit." And I'm like, "It only utilizes 32 of that. So it's just as good as the PlayStation. They're the same." Like, we would like actually argue as like 12-year-olds about like which console was better even back then. And now it's like somebody goes on Facebook, "Hey, which console should I buy? You should get PlayStation. No, you should get Xbox. No, you should get Switch." And I'm like, they're all, guys, okay, at their bones, they're all basically the same thing.
They are.
Like, which exclusive do you want and which controller feels best? Pick it based on that. You can't go wrong in any other way. Like, they over deliberate, and I'm like, guys, gang. Or, well, and then also like if there's VR that you want with PlayStation and you don't have a PC or whatever. But that's just really funny to me because it's like still the same thing to this day. Just doesn't make sense. And now the exclusives are further.
That's a problem.
Are like,
I hate exclusives. I don't
they're
like
stupid, but it's also, there's a lot less exclusives than there were back in the day, you know? So even that is lessening with time. I feel like. Well, so I don't know. It's just kind of funny to me that there's even still a console war, but
let's get into that. And I wanted to kick things off by, I want to talk about the console war actually, but I'm going to kick this off with this is a Sega Master System commercial, I believe, from the 80s.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video games. Games that'll blow you away. Like Alex Kidd.
I miss these commercials.
Sega! Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Knockout games like Rocky.
Oh my gosh,
Gangster
I love
Town.
Rocky.
Oh. Outrun's a classic.
Just like, oh my gosh, that car spin when you wreck.
And then of course, this is the first American Nintendo commercial ever released in 1985.
Oh, I remember this.
The incredible Nintendo Entertainment System, the first to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot.
This commercial was around for a long time.
Follows the commands you put on the screen.
This is like the
So you
atypical
get to the
classic.
before it explodes. Will you be the one to
Oh my God.
Gyromite. That was Gyromite.
I know, but I never realized how much Gyro looks like freaking Wally.
Comes with Rob, Zapper, control deck, 2 controllers,
like the head and stuff.
Yes, I did play Gyromite. I played it with the robot when I was a kid, and I remember it would open basically the robot would drop these spinning things and open doors for you inside Gyromite. It was incredible for the time, to believe it or not. I thought they just don't make things like they used to in the 80s. Like in the 80s, I feel like even though they didn't have the technology to do things, they really just tried a lot of stuff, and Nintendo attributes to that. They tried a lot of things. But let's talk about the first true console war, Nintendo versus Sega. In 1989, Nintendo was at the peak of the gaming market with the new release of Game Boy. It had a hard time to see how anyone could compete with the dominant Nintendo had in the video game market. On top of that, Nintendo released a variety of games that became hits, like Mega Man, Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda. But then Sega, who had little success competing with the NES through its previous consoles, finally found a way to break through the NES stronghold. Now, I want to show a famous ad campaign called What Genesis Does, Nintendo Don't. So let me just play this really quick if anyone remembers these.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis Genesis
Does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free. What Nintendo don't. Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October.
Sega's like, screw it. We're just going to put it right in our ad marketing that we hate Nintendo and we're at war.
Dude.
Now,
The Genesis was a game changer, though.
It was. It really was. I will say that when I was young, it was always, I had the Genesis and my brother had the Super NES. I still played the Super NES, but I was definitely in the Genesis camp at the time. Now, here's really interesting. I found this news piece from 1990 around Christmas talking about how they were, you know, saying how Nintendo was, there was a new kid in town, and that was Sega. So I just want to show kind of like, what was the news, what was it like for the news back then and how they spoke about the console wars? So this is from
good one.
This is from 1990.
The Genesis system by Sega. Genesis does it all.
Sega's Genesis is Nintendo's nemesis. It's one of two 16-bit systems that are already in the U.S. Sega clearly hopes to leapfrog Nintendo by touting 16-bit.
Golden Axe.
You get better graphics.
So here's the president of Genesis, or Sega back then, and this guy,
longer games.
we have to talk about this guy.
Fun.
Okay, so this guy single-handedly had brought Sega to success in America, and people have to know this guy. Tom was very important to all the campaigns and the success that Genesis had in the early days in America. And back then, Sega US was super separate from Sega Japan. They were very separate as entities, and the Japanese Sega didn't support America as often, and there was a lot of back and forth between the two themselves, and he always argued back and forth. And he was the one that decided, let's put Sonic the Hedgehog as the game that comes with the Genesis. And that changed everything. So it should note that this is the guy that brought Sonic to mainstream pretty much.
Longer games, just more fun to play.
That's so fascinating. I don't know.
Look at her hair.
About 50% versus your.
I had that hair.
I love that hair.
The market is down.
He's
I
like,
think that's
I
an
had that.
indication
I live in the
of where
80s.
consumer
This is
going.
me.
Nintendo, however, does not plan to relinquish
God.
any ground.
So it-
One thing.
Look, I just wanted to show some of the. This is 1990,
But now
people.
we're seeing about
Look at that
40%
bow
of the
tie, huh?
users are adult.
Ones like this
Heck
play-action
yeah.
custom.
So they referenced, here's something interesting, is that they were referencing a console war in mainstream media, you know, back in the 90s when gaming, see, that's the thing, is like, do you think that gaming was mainstream in a certain way on like an at-home level in those times, like when Genesis was out, like even though it was just kids playing them, it was kind of mainstream in a lot of ways, I thought.
I mean, it was definitely on the rise. I think we saw it push into the limelight because you had films coming out like Lawnmower Man, which was about early VR, that movie is so fucking dumb, but I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. I begged my parents to take me. It's not appropriate for kids, by the way, but I did beg my parents to take me. They were like, sure, it's about VR. And then you had, what was the other one? Not Real Genius. The one with Wonder Years Kid.
Wonder Years Kid, Wizard, of course, the Wizard.
Wizard, yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I just blanked on that. It's early though, and I haven't finished my coffee. But like you had Wizard, so you started to have a lot more games. You started to have a lot more things where games were getting pushed in line. Like, oh, Nick Arcade, that was another big one. That was the first real like. I would say like gaming television show as far as in the US goes that was mainstream was Nick Arcade, and everybody was like, oh my God, video games and like competition type television show.
Yeah, Nick Arcade was pretty ahead of its time, I'd say, and it was popular. I thought it was fun for a while. Is
that what it looked like behind the scenes?
Is...
I've never seen a behind the scenes of Nick Arcade.
Yeah.
Wow, I wanted to go on that show so bad, and now it looks way less cool. Like I would have not enjoyed that.
Oh, it was so cool for its time.
It was, but now seeing this part, I'm like, oh well, that.
Sorry.
Oh God, even just looking at this and like knowing what it's like working on set because of my job now, it's just like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? That would not be a fun show to be on, actually.
Why not? We would have so much fun on this show. Oh man, this is great. Oh,
this is taking me. Oh my gosh.
Oh, he had that thing. He had like the board he would write on. I forgot about that.
It was basically like one of those like erase boards. Like it's so low tech. Now they're iPads. Oh my God, this is amazing to me. This is cracking me up.
It's making me laugh.
This is the trippiest thing I've watched all day because I definitely have not watched the show since the 90s. Also, Golden Axe, I
remember
hate you.
BK shoes? Oh my god. Oh my lord. This is listening.
Oh, British Knights was the name of the shoe company. And my mom would not buy me a pair of BK Lights or LA Gears, so I got some knockoff Walmart brand of light up shoes that stopped working after a week.
Biff Bufflington says, what better way to spend your imaginary points than to spend them on a sweet highlighted message? Oh, well, thank you, Biff. Great job. Let's see. I see a lot of holy shits in the chat. It means you guys are mind blown with Nick Arcade. So thanks for bringing that up, Ree. Oh my God. My mind was just blown. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, we watched Guts. Remember Guts? We were talking about
I owned the Guts video game on Super Nintendo, and I tried to get on Guts. I begged my parents to take me to Nickelodeon Studios for casting, and they wouldn't. Guts was my dream. I wanted a piece of that aggro crag. I still want a piece of that aggro crag.
You just I forgot. Oh, thanks for the sub, Ree. Oh my God.
Thank you, Genzo.
Oh, Genzo gifted it. Well, at least you followed me, Ray. At least you followed me.
At least you. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible.
There's
friend.
laughing and no snorting. Oh, I missed your snort laughing. But here's the Guts video game, which I totally forgot about. I forgot.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. I would kill. Is there an emulator for this, y'all? Because I need to play the Guts video game. Oh my gosh, I still want to climb the aggro crag. I'm pissed I haven't gotten to.
You know, they were selling. Someone sold the aggro crag trophy on eBay a few years ago. Believe it or not, which is really funny.
I would die.
Anyway, before we close out on this topic, I wanted to judge IGN on their top 25 video game consoles of all time. So let's judge them, Ray.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's see. This is called judging IGN. All right. So at 25, the Magnavox Odyssey, which I never really played, but I've only heard of. You've heard of this, right? So I guess it deserves to be on the list.
But it's weird to hear Magnavox because I have not heard that brand name in so long. And I remember our Magnavox television, whenever we got it, I was like, yeah, we have a Magnavox. Like, I don't know why I thought it was so cool, but I really thought it was a cool TV. So it's funny.
So we'll say 25 is probably worth it. But the Jaguar 24, I guess. I had the Jaguar. Did you have a Jaguar? Or did you ever play a Jaguar?
I did not have a Jaguar.
I did. It does deserve this spot, I guess. But it was an unfortunate... It wasn't very successful. At 23, Atari 5200. Sure, I agree. The 3DO.
Yeah.
The 3DO, I remember I never played, but I almost bought when I was a kid. Carol Baskins has a
I just
Jaguar.
remember that because of what it looks like. I forgot that thing existed. I've definitely never played it. It's kind of cute for its time. What year did it come out?
The 3DO was in 1993 by Panasonic.
That's a cute looking one.
It was one of the first CD-only consoles, or one of the first to do that.
We didn't even know what a CD was that year in Oklahoma.
I don't know what the Magnavox Odyssey 2 was, but it looks like a calculator. So does it deserve to be 21? I don't know.
I feel like that's 25.
20 is a Sega Master System. That's pretty high, I'd think, because even though the Sega Master System wasn't overwhelmingly popular, it was still well known for the time. Magnavox broke ground, so I guess it deserved 2 spots. 19, the NeoGeo. Too expensive is number 1, so that's probably why it's high. This system was like, I don't remember. We bought it used at Funko Land. Did you ever have a Funko Land? Do you know?
Heck no.
Do you know what that is?
Heck no.
Funko Land, I'll show you. Funko Land was the first video game store that here's a training video.
My grandpa was the mayor of my hometown. You think we had a Funko Land?
Funko Land, I'm trying to find an image of it, was the first store where you could like trade in video games and and also like buy used games. And I bought a used NeoGeo from them. They were awesome. GameStop bought them out, believe it or not. So they are technically a part of that umbrella. The 3DO should be number 26 because of the unspeakable lols abomination and unleashed upon the world. Panasonic
Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so 19, I guess it deserves. Sega Saturn does not deserve 18. I love the Sega Saturn. Bullshit. Sorry. I collect the Saturn, so I'm biased. The Atari 7800 I guess. I guess 17.
17? Yeah.
The GameCube at 16? What? That deserves to be up
So-
a little further.
The GameCube is one that I played very briefly in like 2002. Does that sound right? 2001? 2001, 2. What year did the GameCube come out? I don't even know. I played it a lot that year.
Augie, is that Augie? Gave me
It's
1,000
Augie.
beats. Thank
Oh
you so
my
much,
God.
dude.
Hi, Augie.
Good to
Good
see you.
morning.
He
I know
made it.
Augie, I believe Augie had an Atari as his first console, if I'm not mistaken on the trivia
Dude,
there.
Augie, thanks for the bits, man. That's awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, so anyway, I don't even think the PlayStation 3 deserves to be on a list. I wasn't a fan of it. Although I played a few games on it that were important, but
Yeah.
I never liked it. Intellivision at 14, I guess. You know, I can imagine
Wow.
the kid at IGN, he's like, what do you guys think? Intellivision at 14? They're like, yeah, good job. Like, how do they, like, did someone look at this list and, like, have to approve it? You know, thinking of, like, how we do production and stuff. Like, 13, the TurboGrafx. Sure.
You
Right?
think 13?
No,
too high.
a lot of people didn't know about it. You know, like, I get, it was cool as hell, though. And by the way, they have the
No,
mini-
I feel like it should be like more in the 20s.
I guess that's fair. Biff Buffington says, right here at the PS3, this list is junk. What? Unsubbing, unfollowed, shunned. I personally didn't like it, buddy. You don't have to get mad at me. This is IGN, by the way, that made this list. I did not make this list. Okay? You could talk to IGN if you have a problem.
I'm sending them a letter just like I sent to William Sonoma.
ColecoVision at 12, sure. Xbox at 11. The original Xbox had a lot. There was definitely, like, you know, it
The controller hurt my hand. It made my hands cramp up really bad.
That's called the Duke. The original Xbox controller was called the Duke.
Yeah, it really made my hands hurt really bad. I couldn't play it hardly.
Yes, I agree. Biff, it should be on the list. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but it should be in the 20s, the PS3, okay? I'm sorry you love the PS3 so much. You know, go join the PS3 Facebook group, please, because I don't know what else to tell you. The Nintendo Wii at 10
I did not like the Wii. I'm just going to say it. I didn't enjoy the Wii. My parents had one. I could not get into it other than occasionally
Wii bowling.
bowling.
I mean, Wii Sports was the only amazing thing. Well, there was a few other games. Nintendo 64 at 9. This could be up a little higher. This is a great system.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even love the 64 because I was a part of the console war problem back then, and I preferred the Sony PlayStation. But
Biff says PS3 was better than the Xbox One. I said it. He says, "Hey, Will."
Agree with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
Number 8, Dreamcast. I like how it's in the top 10 here. I'm okay with that. Number 7, PlayStation 1. Arguably, that's a good number. You're entitled to, Ammo says, you're entitled to have a wrong opinion.
Wow.
Come on, people. What is one of the most subjective industries? It's probably video games, okay? So let's just be honest. Number 6, the Xbox 360, which I think does deserve to be this high. I think the Xbox 360 was great, to be honest.
It's one of the best consoles ever. I think it's one of the best. I put it up there with the Super Nintendo.
Although it was made like garbage, it still was great because the Red Ring of Death, all that.
Mine
shit.
did just fine. Just gonna say, mine lasted forever, and I put that thing through hell.
There still are. So Fred says, "Why don't you marry it? We're common law, thanks."
I'm gonna marry the Xbox 360 because that console really was
great.
amazing.
One of my favorite games on console, Oblivion, was on 360, and that's where I played it. Oblivion is fantastic. One of my favorite games from the 360 era. Number 5, Genesis. Sure, it makes the top 10, top 5. Absolutely. I'll say you were right, IGN. Number 4, Super Nintendo. Top 5. Sure.
Should be number 1.
Okay.
Super Nintendo should be number 1.
Arguably number 1 for sure.
Well, my next tattoo is going to be the part of the Super Nintendo.
Oh,
controller.
that'd be dope. We got the PlayStation 2, which was very good. Does it deserve to be 3 though? I would argue like 5, 6 for this.
I think you should swap that in the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, maybe at least 5 for the PlayStation 2 and 4 for the Super Nintendo. Okay, fair enough. Number 2, Atari 2600. I will say that probably on the fact that it helped kick off the console generation before the NES, kind of. I will say that Atari 2600 plus those wooden accents were beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll never get another console with wooden accents. Okay, just saying. Legendary. Now, what's number 1? What's number 1? What happened when we talked? Is it the NES?
I'm so scared.
Is it the NES?
Maybe.
Yep.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, it has to be.
All right, this list was okay. There's a few things I didn't like. I think NES could have been up more. I think
Super Nintendo is better than NES, even though I have a very special spot in my heart for NES.
The 70s wood panel had to be on everything. Yeah, that was kind of like the art style back then, which was really neat. But the 2600 is a beautiful piece of machinery for the time it was made. And I like the grooves. It had like the plate.
The little,
yeah,
where the speaker, or not, it wasn't a speaker, but it looked like speaker cover grooves.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we're rounding out here, I always pull up a poll, but I asked a question.
Daniel did not pay attention. He said, where's the PS1 or the Genesis? They were both on there.
He didn't pay attention. He must have just popped back
Daniel, you fail.
I asked everyone, Ree, on Twitter, what was the first video game console you bought with your own money? Ree, what was yours? Was it, like you said, you said you did buy something on your own?
No, well, actually, so this is funny. The first console I ever had was the Super Nintendo. The first one I ever bought with my own money.
Yeah, own money.
Can you give me a guess first? Just one guess.
With your own money? Mm-hmm. The 360?
No.
Was it before that?
No. The
PlayStation 2? No.
Xbox One S.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. You said you didn't have a lot of the consoles growing up. So
I didn't, like, we didn't have access and I was really poor. So, like, I couldn't really buy consoles. So I had to play on my friends after my sister got her PlayStation 1. That was really our last console that we ever had. And then I played on my friends after that, or played at the arcade a lot. I went to the arcade a lot. And then whenever my ex-husband had bought like our Xbox and our Xbox 360. So like I literally never bought a console until I got divorced. It was like, oh crap, he took all my consoles. I gotta go buy one.
That's funny. Good morning. And let me read this down. I think Fred said Atari 2600 was his. Ammo bought a GameCube with their own money. Augie said Nintendo 64 for me, or Sega Saturn. I was watching the whole time, D Goot says, but I'm so sleepy. Yeah, so mine was, I don't count the 64 because I used like family, like gifted money for that. So I don't know if that counts. Like I used like relatives. So I would say the Dreamcast was probably the first system I actually feel like I purchased on my own. And I loved every second of it. Danny Knapp said the 360. I'm just going to read a few people from Twitter. Let's see here. Commodore 64 had a paper route back then delivered to 3 apartment complexes for $100 a month. Awesome. Secondhand Sega Saturn with Virtual Cop in 1997. GameCube, Xbox One, a Nintendo GameCube waiting in line with 3 best friends. We each got one and a different game to play. The original model Game Boy, I didn't get it on the release date, but I saved up my B-Day money in January of 1990, and I ran out and got one then. It was the best purchase I ever had. Nintendo 64 at launch. Well, it's hard to say. I bought an NES used when I was around 10 or so, but it was the money that got to me. The first time I spent money and earned from working on a console was used on the NES. It's really cool to see all these people just sharing their stories about, because like that's important. It's like when your parents maybe would buy games or your relatives would buy games, but when was it that you actually, that's when it feels good, when you bought it, right? A lot of people.
See, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I bought all my own games. Like, my parents bought me my Super Nintendo, and they were like, "You can buy your own games." So I worked for my dad during the summer. I did a lot of extra work around the house, and I bought my own games. I know the proudest moment I ever had was when I had saved up enough money to buy the Super Scope 6.
Oh, the Super Scope 6? Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, and Mario Paint. Those two.
Mario Paint was great.
Yeah, and it had like the pad that you drew on and everything. So like when I was able to buy the Super Scope 6 and that with my own money, that was a big day to me. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cool.
The Super Scope, man, that is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of coming to near the end here. Did you have a lot of fun today? Did you have
I had so
fun?
much fun. I actually don't even hate that I had to get up so early. It was worth it.
I had so much fun. I'm so glad you came on today. And I think we had some amazing topics and we dug into some like awesome things about consoles. I do have a game to give away that was donated by a friend of mine and he's in my server. It's Dance Floor Dale. Dance Floor Dale, and he offered a game I've never heard of. It's called Book of Demons. Have you ever heard of this game?
I have not.
Okay, so Ree, can you do me a favor and text me your favorite number? Because we're going to have people guess in the chat.
Sure. That's actually very easy.
So everyone guess, and I'm not going to include Genzo on this because he knows you really well. Sorry,
He probably
Genzo.
doesn't know my favorite number, though, actually. Just saying.
So everyone try to guess Ree's favorite number, and I will give them the code for this game in chat. And someone says Book of Demons is awesome. So if you could text in the chat, I will give it to whoever has it.
Wait, are we Price is Right rules? Like, is it closest but not over?
It's closest, I would just say.
Okay.
Okay, we got 4, we got 68, we got 42, 14, 17. Any more?
We're gonna have to do a tiebreaker. Oh no, we're not.
We got 7. We got 7. Okay. I'm okay with it being. It's got to be close within. I would say 1 or 2. Any more? I think that's it. Is that it? Let me think here.
Also, Augie said more. He wants us to do more podcasts. Oh my gosh, Aaron actually showed up.
I know. Thanks, Aaron, for getting up today. Yes, Augie. Well, the whole thing with my show is that I just want to have guests on to hang out with me as guests. So, Rhea, I hope you want to come back and do more shows with me because it's so much fun.
Heck yeah, dude. Always, anytime.
Fred, 7 was guessed already. I'll give you a chance to guess, and then I am gonna. 7 was taken by Danny Naps. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna do it. Oh, thanks, Sanity. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, you can just if you want, you can just Venmo me money directly. We're friends. Just send me the money directly through Venmo.
You are ridiculous, Andy.
All right, so I'm gonna announce a winner, and I'm gonna go with Danny Naps at 7. Her number was 9, and I think Danny Naps is the closest. Sorry, Fred. You said a number before him, so Danny Naps, just DM me, text me. I know who you are. I know where you live. I'll give you Book of Demons, so congratulations. And remember, everyone, go down on my Twitch channel, and there's a panel there, and it has both Ree's Twitter and her channel. Ree, what is your schedule like now for streaming?
I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I usually start around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Probably 11 a.m. these days, Pacific Standard Time. And I stream just into the evening as late as I feel like. Occasionally it's Wednesday stream, but I've been trying to balance my streaming life a little bit better because I go on these binges where I'll stream like 12 hours a day for 6 days straight and burn out. So I've been like, no, you're only streaming 4 days a week because you always say you're gonna do a short stream and then you stream 10 hours. And so that's kind of what I've been doing these days.
That's awesome. And I'm just showing your stream. I love your streams. I'm rooting for you because I think you have like awesome community. And I met a lot of them at TwitchCon, like people like Genzo.
Yeah.
And I remember at TwitchCon, they were just all following you around. It was really cool. Like, I'm going to miss TwitchCon this year. I'm going to really miss it. Isn't that sad that we
Hey, did you get a notification on your phone?
I did not. What happened? Tell me the news.
You should check your Venmo.
Oh, wait. Did someone Venmo me money? Anyway, I do want to rate
$4.99. I sent you $4.99 for a Twitch subscription.
You did? Thank you. Thank you.
That was really funny because you're like, just send me the money directly to me to Venmo. So I sent you $4.99. Although I should have sent you 249 technically, because you only get 50%. But
thank you so much, Ree. This is amazing. I feel accomplished today. I have had a Venmo subscription by Ree today at $4.99. I have it right here. Thank you so much. Who should we raid? Let me see here. I'm just gonna find someone randomly. I like the retro channel, so.
Ooh, yeah.
I just want to see who we got. How do you get to the retro category? Where is it? Where is it?
That's a tier 2 sub. Oh yeah, I guess I paid for a tier 2 sub because you got 50% of a tier 2 sub.
I will text you the emojis shortly. Don't you worry. Let's see. Let's go to some random dude that has a really easy name to put in chat.
That's what I did, Toph. I upgraded to a tier 2.
I don't know who to go to. Let's see.
I'm about to get the hiccups and I'm fighting it off because it's just going to be really embarrassing.
What are you doing for the rest of this wonderful Saturday?
I'm actually going for a hike because our trails opened.
Oh, yeah, that's right. In LA, the trails are open, right?
Yeah. And I know all the good secret trails where nobody will be. So I'm going for a hike, and I'm also building a practice slide rail for skating in my garage, so I can get some skate park skating in my garage.
Awesome. So Ree, you're amazing. Thank you so much again for coming on.
I miss you, dude.
We got to do this more. We got to do this more, We got to play some games too on stream or something.
We need to play Arizona Sunshine together now that you have Rift.
Oh, that's right. Wait, what's it called?
Arizona Sunshine.
Okay. I will download that. Arizona Sunshine.
It's so fun.
And
I'm
sending everyone to Hatch Lord. I have no idea who this guy is, but he looks like a retro gamer. So can I still sign off and it will send the raid anyway, or do I have to wait for this thing to go through? I don't know.
You can just make it go through.
How do you do that? Is it counting down right now? Am I doing this right?
Yeah, once this first countdown is done, you can hit raid now.
Once the first countdown is done?
Yeah. Sandy, are you talking about Arizona Sunshine? I love it. It's so fun.
Well, anyway, I like to say one thing. Ree, thanks again for coming to the cafe, by the way. And I also want to tell everyone out there that they should really, really consider washing your hands consistently. Please, 20 seconds, wash your hands. Practice social distancing. Thanks, Sanity, for coming. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Augie. Thanks, the Tofa, Danny Naps, Fred Stoverink, Biff Bufflington, Susumio, Genzo, Renez, blah, blah. You see, I'm terrible at reading people's names.
Renee.
All right. I love you all. I love you, Ree. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.